Hello, everyone. We're here today with Father Edward Looney, and Father Edward Looney is an amazing author. Plus, he works here in the Diocese of Green Bay. Plus, he's all over the nation with all his various Merck and Marian theologies. So, talk a little bit about us, or talk a little bit to us about your work.
Sure, yeah. So first and foremost, I'm a parish priest, and so that's why I was ordained for work in the diocese to serve in the parish. And so currently, I serving as pastor of two rural communities. It's kind of confusing. I have four saint names, three church buildings. They're technically two parishes. It's really confusing to people, but I pastor St. Francis and St. Mary Parish in Brussels, and also St. Peter and St. Hubert Parish in Lincoln and Rosaire. So that's kind of my primary responsibility. And then on the side, just with my passion for Marian theology and my study in it and writing on it, I've become very involved in the Mariological community with here in the United States called the Mariological Society of America. And that work has me on their administrative council. And so I help to spread devotion and the study of the Blessed Virgin. And then I've written some books too, as you mentioned. So currently right now, and we're going to talk about it a little bit, is a Lenten journey with Mother Mary. So right now it has me gallivanting every so often to different places. Like in just a few days, that on Wednesday night, I have a show with EWTN. So I'll be on with Father Mitch Pacwa, and I'll preach their mass on Thursday morning, and then I'll come back to the parish. I have funerals Friday and Saturday, so it's right back to parish work. But it's fun. It's great to be able to spread my own love for the Blessed Virgin, my own knowledge, so that other people might know more about Mary as our mother, and to really honor her in that way.
Mm-hmm. And you have a lot of books that you've written for our Shrine of Our Lady of Good Help. Was that like your first books about Marian theology, or?
Sure. Yeah. So actually, that was kind of my entry point, you could say. Yeah. So I was assigned to the shrine as a seminarian back in 2011, maybe. And in that work with the shrine for that summer, just helping pilgrims, telling the story of the apparition, they asked me to write a few different things. And then eventually it just led me in my own prayer and stuff to decide that, well, wouldn't it be nice if they had a rosary meditations? Wouldn't it be nice if they had a novena and all these different things? So those originally were published as little, booklets, you could say, but now they've been taken on into an entire pilgrim prayer book that I authored. So all the small little books have all become one in a book from Tan Books.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Now, going back to a Lenten journey with Mother Mary, a lot of us are preparing for Lent and thinking about what we're going to do for Lent. What inspired you to write a Lenten journey with Mother Mary?
Yeah, the inspiration was numerous. So one of the inspirations I always go back to is there was another pretty prolific author, a laywoman named Donna Cooper O'Boyle, and she wrote a book for Advent called Advent with Our Lady. And essentially her book was all about Advent and meditations from Our Lady of Fatima and her own experience with Fatima. And I thought, as I prayed through it, because I'm like, well, I followed Donna Cooper O'Boyle. We know each other. And so I thought, well, wouldn't it be nice to read through her book for Advent? I did so. And as I prayed my way through it, I said, well, I think there should be a Lent book. And I think the same publisher should publish it. And I contacted them and they said yes. And they thought it was a great idea. And here we are now with the Lenten journey with Mother Mary. So that was really the first inspiration. And then being inspired, then the book kind of takes its form in a few different ways. But as I was thinking it over and wanted to include the different Marian apparitions, obviously with so many weeks of Lent, how do you organize it? I thought maybe each week would have a different apparition, unpacking each one. And it just didn't seem like that was going to work. And finally, I recalled a memory of mine of meeting a pilgrim in Lourdes, France. It was my last day in Lourdes on one of my individual trips. And the pilgrim was from Chicago. She was speaking English. She came into the restaurant that I often eat at there. And we started talking. And it was her first time to Lourdes. And I said, well, let me tell you all the things you should do, kind of the hidden things, where the Adoration Chapel is and things like that. And as we talked, I asked, well, how long have you been here? Why are you in Lourdes, or where are you going next? And she shared about her pilgrimage, and it was unlike any pilgrimage. Think of a pilgrimage, and it's people going to someplace like the Holy Land for 8 days, and then you come home. She decided to uproot her life for 2 or 3 months and go on pilgrimage. In the first few weeks, she did the Way of St. James, the El Camino, and she wanted to let go of different things in her life. And so she said, that's why I did the Way of St. James, to let go of all these different things. And then she said, well, I wanted to go to Fatima because I wanted to find forgiveness. And Fatima, of course, with the rosary, we pray, forgive us, or, oh my Jesus, forgive us our sins, save us from the fires of hell. And so she wanted to find forgiveness in her own life. Then she came to Lourdes for healing because of the healing water. And then she was going to Divine Mercy. And I just thought, as she shared her story, what a beautiful story of pilgrimage that was, and how Lent is a pilgrimage. And if we're talking about Marian apparitions, well, we're kind of stopping at each one of those apparition sites along the way. And I really wanted to use her story. So in some ways, I was really inspired by her story and her example.
That's beautiful. Very wonderful. And you're right. Your book very much is like a journey through these different apparition sites, but also, at least from what I understand, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. So that was the whole premise. And, I think that there are other books about Mary and Lent that people have put out, but I wanted to put out something that was different. And essentially, I realized that there are all these apparitions of Our Lady, these messages that she spoke, and maybe some people know the popular ones, but maybe they don't know others, or what does it really mean for us? And I wanted to present the message of Mary in these apparitions, like in Knock. Well, actually, there was no message in Knock. The silence itself is the message. But Fatima, Lourdes, Champion, Borang, Bonneau, Pontmain, Leilau, all these different Marian apparitions to introduce people to Mary's message and how is it that we could live that message then. And so each day there's kind of one of those messages that leads us into a reflection, and then how do we live that? So not only are we listening to Mary, but we're then living as she wants us to live.
Mm-hmm. And people might be wondering, with Lent is very much focused on Jesus's crucifixion and preparing for the resurrection of Easter. And some people might wonder, well, why should we focus on Mary during Lent? What would you say to them?
Yeah, so I think Mary is a great companion all throughout our life. So people all the time turn to the intercession of Mary. An infertile couple turns to Mary's intercession when they go to the shrine in St. Augustine, Florida, to Our Lady of La Leche. A couple who is going through a hard time in their marriage turns to the Blessed Mother through the Untie of Knots devotion. And so a person who is sick turns to the intercession of Mary. Go to the shrine at Champion and see all the candles that are lit down there. And these are people in their moment of need who have turned to the intercession of Mary. So they look to Mary to be that companion every day or at a specific moment. So she can be this companion during Lent because, as we say in the Stabat Mater, at the cross or station keeping, close to Jesus to the last, that she was there. She journeyed with Jesus, especially during Holy Week. She was there in Jerusalem. She was there at the foot of the cross. And the message of Lent is prayer, penance, almsgiving, prayer, penance, or fasting, almsgiving. And the message of Mary is really one that directs us to the message of her son. It calls us to the gospel message. So Mary's messages then really help us to deepen and live a sense of prayer. It helps us to take up works of penance and charitable acts. So Mary's messages really can accompany us during the Lenten season.
Wonderful. And if people are interested in your book, where should they pick it up?
Yeah, so A Lenten Journey with Mother Mary is available from Sophia Institute Press, and they can get it right from the publisher. Of course, I always recommend go to your local Catholic bookstore. They should be able to have copies available. There are different places online. Of course, people go to Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Amazon can't keep the book in stock. It's always sold out. So, somewhere else. I know Spirit Daily is carrying it in their bookstore. So there are lots of different ways that you can get the book and pick it up and be able to walk with Mother Mary during Lent.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. And before we go, just a fun question. What's your favorite Marian apparition site to go to?
Yeah, so I've been to a lot, of course, and I've studied them. I've written about them. lots of people would think, well, you're kind of like the expert on Champion, and so you must love the Champion story. And I do love the Champion story, but maybe it is my favorite, but I don't know if I have a favorite. I love Lourdes. I've been to Lourdes maybe 4 or 5 times, and I've done some pastoral work there with the Center for International Pilgrims. And I would say Lourdes definitely. Kind of another bizarre happening is that I just became, I don't know if obsessed is the right word, but I love the story of Mary's apparition in Belgium. There are 2 of them, in Borang and Bonneau. And they happen both relatively close to each other, 1932 to 33 for Borang and 1933 for Bonneau. And because I love the Belgian apparition there and the message and the story of the visionaries and everything, that led me to write a lot about it on the internet. And so quickly I became like the English authority, I guess you could say, on Borang and Bonneau, which is kind of funny. Like someone messaged me the other day and said, it seems like you're the only person that writes about this in English. And, what are your thoughts about A, B, and C? And so, it was kind of an honor to be considered that. So I love Borang too. So Lourdes, Borang, Champion. I love all of Mary's apparitions. I love all of her messages and her presence among us.
Oh, wow. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being a part of this today. And everyone, if you're interested in buying Father Edward Looney's book, A Lenten Journey with Mother Mary, please do check out Sophia Press Institute or your local Catholic bookstores, because it is a really fantastic book and highly recommend it. So thank you so much, Father Edward, for being with us today.
Yes, thank you. And God bless all who tune in and all the work that you're doing to promote the Franciscan Sisters of Christian Charity. God bless you.
Thank you.